JJ Jinx!
Truck Stop Knives!
So I wanted to do a quick video about a couple of knives that I have that I think are interesting. This is the Kershaw Leek, which is a pretty popular knife, pretty well loved, and very budget friendly. This one comes in blue with a black blade. I paid $50-something for it on the road at a knife outlet. You could probably find it cheaper. You could definitely find it cheaper if you don't want the funky colors and stuff. There's a couple of other knives sort of akin to this one. One of them, which is a little bit smaller, has a kind of a different blade shape, is the Scallion. And then there's another one which is smaller still, called the Chive, but it looks like the Scallion. The Leek is just kind of different from the rest of them. A couple of interesting things about this knife is it's got this little screw thing on the end, which is basically a little lock bar. So after you close the blade, you can move the bar, and then it won't open when you push on the flipper tab on the back here. It has aluminum scales, steel liners, low-ride pocket clip, but kind of a unique looking one. I kind of like that. Of course, they got drill holes, so you can move the clip to the other side. One of the really unique things about this knife that I noticed kind of recently is you got this little indent here at the top, and that's for the thumb stud to sit after it deploys, because this knife does not have a stop pin. There's no stop pin back there. The thumb studs are doing that job when they rest into that little notch there. So I thought that was pretty cool. I haven't really seen that before. Now, the knife I want to compare this one to is one that I spotted at a flea market not far from me, where there's a guy who is one of the state's only certified Benchmade outlet sellers, but he also has a bunch of Bud K stuff, and I bought this from him for $8. So the price difference between these two is quite a lot. This is a copy of the Kershaw Leek. You can immediately see the similarities, but there are some differences, and that's the crux of this video. I wanted to make comparisons. First of all, there's this god-awful finish, which I guess is supposed to be urban camo. It looks terrible, but for $8, I couldn't do a better job. The blade shape's the same. It's the same sort of modified sheep's foot. If I flip them over, one of the differences here is that you don't get the other drill holes on the back of this one. It also has that slide bar thing. Interestingly, on the legit Leek, I can't really get this to move very well, and of course I just did because it's in front of the camera, but that's like the first time I've been able to move it easily in a very long time. It's just a little bit rough now. But on this one, it slides very easily into place, so that when you close the knife, lock it, it ain't moving. Another small cosmetic difference is that on the back, the spacer for the legit Leek is completely flush with the liners and the scales, and on this one it is not. It kind of sticks out a little bit, looks like the finish is a little bit rougher, almost like it just doesn't quite fit in the channel as well. The other thing to notice is there are no liners on this knife. It is in fact a frame lock, whereas the legit Leek is a liner lock. So I thought that was interesting. That's quite a big departure from the original design. I think it's really interesting. I would have liked to have known, like, who made that decision and why. Was it maybe it was easier to manufacture, fewer parts, easier assembly? I don't know. And of course, the other major difference is that on the legit Leek, we have the labeling here with the part number, patented Ken Onion design with a flag and a symbol, whereas this one just has a sticker on it that says made in China. And then one minor difference is the positions of the pocket clips. On the legit one, it sits just a little bit lower than on the copy, and also the Kershaw logo is absent from the clip, which is also not finished in black, but that's a variation that you can find on the legit ones too. Two more differences I noticed. The copy is quite a bit thicker than the Leek. If you add up the liners and the scales on the legit one, the copy has a thicker frame to it. So it is also much heftier because these scales, this whole frame is all steel, whereas on the Legit Leek it is aluminum with thinner steel liners. So I would say it's about 30% heavier in the hand. Now I haven't really carried or used this one extensively, but I've carried this one for a little while, and one of the things I noticed is that over time the pivot screw kind of gets loose a little bit, and so the centering of the blade kind of migrates. I've got it set to a pretty good place now by tightening the pivot screw a little bit, but it's just a chore. Ooh, it didn't deploy that time. It's just a chore that once a week or so you'd have to make that little fix. Good knives are not immune to that problem, by the way. I've had some Spyderco knives do that to me. The deployment is much snappier in the Legit Leek. I know it's hard to tell on camera, but it just is, and I don't know why. I guess the spring is weaker, most likely. And the Knockoff also has quite a bit of blade play. Hard to show it on camera, and the Leek is more solid. All of that being considered, the price of the Legit Leek is actually very good. It is very budget friendly. There's really not much of a reason why you would want one of these cheapo knockoffs. Now, there are knockoffs of some knives that are arguably equal or sometimes better than the legit ones, but in the case of the Kershaw Leek, that is not so.